Henkel and Tobe Hooper came together in 1974 to create the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, a milestone film in the slasher genre. It inspired a massive franchise which consisted of 9 films, 2 video games, comic books, and a novel. It was the debut of Leatherface, one of the most well-known villains of Hollywood, notable for his human skin masks, bloody apron, and his iconic chainsaw. Though the movie claimed to be inspired by true events, it's just a stretched truth, as the only inspiration was Ed Gein, the serial killer, who definitely did not wield a chainsaw. The latest installment in this franchise is Texas Chainsaw Massacre, released in 2022. What went on behind the scenes? Did people like the film? Let's find out today, but not before you click that subscribe button. Done? Then we can proceed. Buckle up. Nearly 50 years have passed since Leatherface went crazy with his chainsaw, as 2 entrepreneurs, Melody and Dante, head to Harlow, Texas, to auction off old properties to create a gentrified and trendy area. Joining them are Dante's girlfriend Ruth and Melody's sister Lila. They begin investigating properties, and while looking through a seemingly abandoned, dilapidated orphanage, they come across Jenny, the owner, who still lives there. She claims that she has the papers to prove she owns the building, and an argument breaks out that is only interrupted when a tall man arrives from upstairs. Suddenly, Jenny has a heart attack, and the man and Ruth take her to the hospital. Melody and Dante are distracted by the arrival of a bus that has investor Catherine and a group of potential buyers. Meanwhile, Lila explores the town on her own and befriends local mechanic Richter, to whom she admits to being a school shooting survivor. On the way to the hospital, Jenny dies. Ruth texts Melody to let her know, but the man with her goes berserk and begins attacking people in the ambulance, causing it to crash. The man is none other than Leatherface, who cuts off Jenny's face to make a mask. Ruth radios for help, but it's of no use, as Leatherface kills her off. Back at Harlow, Melody reads the text and decides to leave with Lila. Richter, who overheard their conversation, takes her keys, telling her that he'll return them once he gets proof that Jenny was evicted rightfully. The sole survivor of Leatherface's previous carnage and a brave Texas Ranger, Sally Hardesty, hears of Leatherface's return and decides to investigate. Melody and Dante find out that Jenny was not evicted rightfully. Before she can decide on what to do, Leatherface arrives and mutilates Dante. Scared, Melody hides as Leatherface gets his chainsaw. Soon, the sun too deserts the town and night arrives. Poor Dante stumbles out, where Richter discovers him, and he bleeds to death. Richter enters the orphanage next, and he too is killed. Leatherface then heads to the bus, where the auctioneers and Catherine were taking cover from a thunderstorm. As he gets on the bus, many phone cameras rise, as everyone assumes it is some kind of YouTube prankster, and many also start to stream it live. Their expectations soon take a scary turn, as Leatherface kills everyone there. A fun Easter egg in this scene is that, as Leatherface goes ham in the bus, and there are lightning flashes going off, you can see a reflection of Jenny, or perhaps her spirit, smiling. Melody and Lila, still unscathed, run into Sally, who locks them in their car and enters the orphanage to finish her vendetta against Leatherface for once and for all. She gives Melody the keys to her car, asking her to run away, but Melody decides to help and runs into Leatherface before crashing into a building. Trapped in the car, Melody asks Lila to run away. Leatherface, after having fatally wounded Sally, heads towards Melody, who apologizes for evicting Jenny. However, Sally still has some fight left in her and shoots Leatherface, causing him to flee. In her dying breath, Sally tells Lila that if she ran from him, he would haunt her forever. Lila takes this advice to heart and follows Leatherface with Sally's shotgun. Melody follows her closely, and together, to get rid of Leatherface once and for all, the sisters knock him into a pool where he sinks. Assuming he's dead, Lila and Melody make their way back to their car. Lila takes Sally's hat and wears it. Before they can sigh in relief, Leatherface arrives and decapitates Melody. Lila makes her escape in the self-driving car and watches in horror as Leatherface dances mid-street with Melody's head and the chainsaw. If you stuck around for the post-credit scene, you would watch the brutal murderer make his way to his childhood home. There are a lot of things that went wrong with the movie, both in terms of production and the story. So let's go through them all one by one, starting with the behind-the-scenes drama. In February 2020, Andy and Ryan Tohill signed on to be directors for the film with Angus Mitchell as cinematographer, as the three had worked together on the 2018 film, The Dig. Chris Thomas Devlin had also joined as a screenwriter to write a sequel for the original film, starring a 60-year-old Leatherface. Production began on May 4th, 2020, in full force, and principal photography started in Bulgaria. the primary shooting location, on August 17, 2020. Within the first week of production, the studio fired Ryan and Andy Tohill, as they didn't like what they had shot up until then. Angus Mitchell left with them. Soon, David Blue Garcia was hired to fill the director's role. Later, Garcia guessed that he was probably hired as he's a native Texan, and his first film was called Tejano, which is Spanish for Texan. Ricardo Diaz replaced Mitchell. Soon, Diaz and Garcia realized the massive task they had. There was very little time and they only had some bullet points, and the first film to work off of. They also had to make Bulgaria look like Texas, but thankfully, this task was in good hands, as production designer Michael Perry and set decorators Asen Bozalov and Joey Ostrander expertly built a Texas town, despite Garcia getting it together for the sake of the movie and overcoming many of these production hiccups. The final product didn't impress viewers. There were many things that they didn't find up to the standards set by the franchise, and many even commented that the movie does not deserve the legacy-rich title it has. A minority of the fans did like the film, especially those who didn't mind sequels detaching a bit from the original source. They didn't mind Leatherface being different from the original, the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, pointing out that he was more unhinged in this film, as he didn't have a family that controlled him anymore. Haters had the opposite reaction though, as according to them, being surrounded by the twisted and sadistic Sawyer family is what made the film so tense and scary. They also admitted that Lila being a survivor of a school shooting added layers to her character, explaining her hesitance to use guns that she later overcame. Another controversial scene in the film is the bus scene. The live streaming angle and the random comment of a passenger screaming to Leatherface that he'll be canceled if he tries anything breaks the tense atmosphere for a giggle, though it might be argued that scene just adds to the temporality and context of modern times. It has to be admitted that the breakneck change in tension and back to it, coupled with the tone-deaf humor, makes the scene feel out of place, but we'll let you be the judge of it. What do you think about the bus scene? A fun addition in modern-day commentary or a tactless write-in? For temporary laughs? Let us know in the comments below. You might also notice that Leatherface isn't the only villain in the film. Melody and Dante, the self-centered influencers, arrive at the town on their high horse, not giving a rat's ass about the opinions of the locals. From the start, the movie paints them as unlikable, social media types, which kind of backfires since audiences have a hard time connecting with them at all. They indirectly caused the death of Leatherface's mother, and they don't have a morsel of pity for her. The mass murderer Leatherface is redeemed successfully at the cost of innumerable lives, thus continuing the new trend observed in films where the villains are humanized. While some like this side of Leatherface, who is only acting in grief over the loss of his mother, others felt it was too woke and even overwhelming. One might also argue that rather than satire, the movie felt like a desperate attack on recent generations and their obsession with technology and social media. Whether it be Halloween or Scream, horror movie franchises have started incorporating legacy characters in their prequels, sequels, and requels in the hopes of exploiting loyal fans' nostalgia. In the same lines, John Larroquette, the narrator of the original film, returned to narrate the opening scene. An important pull of this film was also the return of Sally, one of the earliest examples of the final girl, and with that, she got a chance to confront her masked assailant one last time. Her death, however, isn't in line with other horror movie franchises, as the final girl does get the chance to live, continuing her legend. Sally's characterization thoroughly annoyed fans, who felt that she kept switching between being a victim herself to victimizing others. Her decision not to shoot when she had a chance to also pissed off many. Many noticed the similarities between Texas Chainsaw Massacre and 2018's Halloween movie, starring Jamie Lee Curtis as Laurie Strode, who, much like Sally, has to face Michael Myers, a crazed killer who attacked her decades ago. Fans of slasher movies had high expectations for both films, but only Halloween delivered. Texas Chainsaw Massacre was seen as Halloween 2018, if it had neither depth nor texture. It also didn't help that Sally Hardesty was not played by Marilyn Burns, the actress who originally played her and had passed away in 2014. She was replaced by Olwen Forer, who didn't pack as much of a punch. The movie was actually supposed to hit theaters in 2021, but after some really bad test screenings, Legendary decided to sell the rights to Netflix instead, figuring it probably wouldn't do well at the box office. It did pull in a lot of views for Netflix, as it debuted at number 2 on Netflix's global charts and moved to number 3 for the upcoming weeks. Though we've tried to show you the debate between the groups of fans who like and dislike the film, the majority belong to the fans who hate it. The movie has been called unnecessary, a blood-soaked and unscary footnote of the franchise, crass, and purposeless. Since its release, many have been asking whether the franchise really needed another edition, as 8 already seemed like too many. The formulaic nature of the film was not lost on the critics, who observed that if Leatherface was taken out of the film, and replaced with any masked killer, it wouldn't make a significant difference, pointing out that factors, which made the Texas Chainsaw Massacre so iconic, had been lost from all these regurgitations. Marvelous verdict. Thanks to this film, we probably won't see another Texas Chainsaw Massacre film anytime soon, and that is no less of an achievement. What do you think of the film? Did you like it, or did it feel like beating a dead cow? Let us know in the comments below. If you liked the video, you can let us know by tapping that thumbs up. We will soon be back with more awesome stuff, and until then, stay away from mass killers. Goodbye.